All right, this is a screencast on To the Virgins to Make Much of Time by Robert Herrick. Just some analysis, breaking down the poem and talking a little bit about what's going on here. Let's talk a little bit. Let's read it first because it's a small poem, but as usual, there's a lot to unpack. So, we have gather ye rosebuds while you may, old time is still a flying, and the same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. Right there off the bat, you can see there's going to be an alternating rhyme scheme. You have may and today, and flying and dying, and it's going to continue throughout the poem there. The glorious lamp of heaven, the sun, the higher he's a getting, the sooner will his race be run, and nearer he's to setting. That age is best, which is the first, when youth and blood are warmer, but being spent, the worse and worst times still succeed the former. Then be not coy, but use your time, and while ye may, go marry, for having lost but once your prime, you may forever tarry. Okay? He starts off by saying, gather ye rosebuds while you may. It's a kind of a metaphor for marriage. That is what women would have been expected to do in terms of their prospects, opportunities. Women, especially more up class, wealthier women would have wanted to marry up, marry wisely, marry into more money, but that would have been what would be expected of them. So this whole poem is kind of based off this metaphor for get married. Use your time while you can. He says, gather ye rosebuds while you may. Old time is still a flying. He's saying time is passing really fast. Okay. And the same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. He's using a little bit of personification there. He uses that throughout the poem, but he's saying the same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. Time is passing. And these young flowers, these young women, they may be blooming today or smiling, okay? But tomorrow, you're one step closer to your death than you were yesterday. The glorious lamp of heaven, the sun, is a metaphor for sun, lamp there. The higher he's a getting, the higher the sun sets, or the sun gets, the sooner its journey will be over. So, the sun starts on its side on the east and sets in the west. So it's going up. The higher he gets in the sky, the closer he is to his journey or his path being over. The sooner will his race be run, and nearer he's to setting. So that journey that the sun is taking is often a metaphor for life. When you're born, it's just the sun is just coming up or dawning, and then it goes forward, and the progression, the passing of your life. That age is best, which is the first. He's saying when you're in your young adult years, it's the best because you're healthy, your blood is warmer, you're more vigorous. Youth and blood are warmer, but being spent the worse and worse, time still succeed the former. The younger you are, the further, in theory, the farther you are away from death, from cold, which is synonymous with death here. And he says, then be not coy, but use your time, and while you may, go marry. He says, don't be shy, don't be inactive. Use your time. Get on it while you still can, because once it's gone, it's gone. You're not going to get that time back. Basically what he's saying here is that virgins should get married because once they lose their youth and their beauty, the older that they get, the less desirable they are, and you may not get another opportunity to do that. A couple of imagery things going on here in the poem. You have the flowers. Flowers synonymous with the life cycle. Flowers do have a short life cycle, which is kind of a reminder that human life is also short as well. Flowers bloom. They're only worth picking for so long, okay? You don't want to pick them too soon because they're not in full bloom. You don't want to wait too late because they start falling apart. Life is like that. Flowers, girls, are only beautiful, in theory for a short time, and then they lose that bloom. The sun is also an image there as well. The route of the sun and the passage of time when the sun rises and sets, as a metaphor for life in general. And then temperature is also, we get that imagery in the poem. So youth is warm, right? Youth, health, vigor, new life. You're warm-blooded. But the closer you get to death and old age, the colder your life is going to get. And the sun plays a part in that too. When the sun's first coming up, when you're freshly born, when you're new, it's a cooler. But as it grows on, it gets hotter and hotter until it reaches its peak in the middle of the sky. And that's your midlife or your adult life, where you're at your warmest. So this poem, all in all, is a message to young women. He's saying, carpe diem, seize the day. It's Latin for seize the day. Do it while you can. Okay, get married while you can. Seize the opportunity while you have them. Gather you rosebuds while you may. Your CTE is going to ask you, how does the poem reveal its intent? How does it reveal the idea of carpe diem? So how can you show that this is very much a poem about seizing your opportunities while you can? And this speaker here, this is not a young man. Okay, this is an older man, an aged man who obviously missed out on his time, and he's lamenting those mistakes that he made. And he doesn't want those virgins, those young women here, we're not just saying, it's just synonymous with young women just freshly starting out in life. He doesn't want them to make those same mistakes, and he knows this from experience. So just a really quick concept, just to kind of show you the importance. The 1600s, people didn't live as long as they do now for various reasons. They ate poorly. They didn't have access to health care, and so the median age, would have been dying a lot younger. They would not live to be as old as we are now as a whole. So marriage was a way bigger deal than it is now for women. Back then, a woman's only way out or up would have been marriage. Women wouldn't have been allowed to own property. They wouldn't have, even estates would have, even if they were the only, the child in their family, it wouldn't have been able to pass to a female. It would pass to a male. And so marriage, today we don't view marriage as a big deal. Lots of people, live together without being married. Lots of women are independent and never get married at all. Those are all options that are available, but that was not the case, obviously, in the 1600s. So marriage for women solidified their life. It gave them a purpose. It gave them a status. So it was important for them to not only to get married, but to make a advantageous marriage or an advantageous match where they would actually benefit from it. So here he is. He's saying, I'm old now. I've lived my life. Don't make the same mistakes that I made. Carpe diem. Seize the day while you're young, while you're beautiful, while your blood is warm and you're vigorous and full of life. Seize your opportunities while you can, before it gets too late, before your flower wilts and dies, before the sun sets, before all these, these metaphors for your life. Do it while you can, because you might not get another opportunity.